if before we get into some of the great stories and details that you have in terms of your experience in the business moving forward, I thought I'd ask you about the topic that has been on a lot of people's minds, both in the public and in the business, and that was the recent sentencing of Tammy Sitch, Sonny, and the comments that she made that hit a lot of us um, in a sour way, for lack of a better term, was when she mentioned your brother's death as the start of her downfall. I know the judge didn't buy it, and I'm sure a lot of the public were very disillusioned by that comment, if that was even possible with her. Just wanted to give you the floor to kind of clear that up, or give your thoughts, please.
Yeah. So first off, when her sentencing hearing was going down, right? I was on vacation in Miami. I was staying there for like a couple weeks, and I was like, "Oh shit, Tammy!" And it said on YouTube, live streaming Tammy's sentencing. Oh, I got to hear this. So you guys know Rene Dupree, obviously, right? So
yeah,
they put this psychiatrist on the stand, and he's like reading his credentials. And I texted Rene, and I'm like, he's like, "What's going on in the trial with Tammy?" So I did the show for a little bit. I'm like, "Yeah, there's this psychiatrist on there. He's giving his credentials, but as soon as he, as soon as he says what's going on, I'll get back on." It's like stayed on there for 8 hours. So what she said when she first got on there, so first the whole, all right, I'll hit the PTSD thing first because this one pisses me off. When she said,
I think we lost him there, Jack.
Yep. Okay, you're back. You were just about to comment on the PTSD, Johnny.
Yeah. So the PTSD to straight up, right? So when my brother like physically died, right? I'm at the hospital. He's just dead, and I'm like, "Oh, come on, dude, wake up, man!" Like I'm pumping on his chest, trying to wake him up. She leaves the room. I'm still not giving up on him. She comes back in the room, and she's like looking all annoyed, and she's like, 8. I'm like, "What?" She's like, "All I got was 8 Xanax for this," and she like left. Started talking about having PTSD. I'm like, there that day. And then the doctor even came in to me, and he's like, "Do you need a shot, a sedative? Do you need a prescription?" I'm like, "Nah, man." I'm like, "Just close the fucking door, please." And so when she started bringing that up as her having PTSD, I'm like, "About what?" Because she acted like it was like nothing, And then, so, what I was saying was, right. So it was getting live streamed. I went down to the pool, put my earbuds on. I was watching it and listening to it at the same time. And the psychiatrist goes, she said 7, 8 concussions. She's had compacted discs, slipped discs, in her back, broken bones, all this different pain, from her life on the road as a wrestler. And I'm like, she wasn't a wrestler. What the fuck is she talking about? Like, she's lying to this guy, Like, does this guy not fact check? Like, maybe she did a couple of those little cat fights where she rolled around with a girl, but she never, was out there like taking bumps and so I think someone came on and was like, "Are there any medical records?" Maybe it was, I think the whole day was for the defense, but someone asked, like, "Can we see medical records?" And the guy's like, "Oh, no, that's self-reported." How about the broken bones? "Oh, that's self-reported." How about the slip disc? "Oh, that's self-reported." So she kept, saying all that, and also she kept saying about her going to be a doctor, right? And I remember this time because the two of them, my brother was going to Tennessee no matter what. That's all he ever cared about was being a professional wrestler. And his goal was to get to the WWF, and he knew he had to go through Cornette, work at Smoky Mountain, and that was it. And And I remember Tammy. I remember hearing my parents and her parents and everybody talk that she had plans to go to Miami to be a doctor. And then my brother that night, I remember, or whenever, he was like sad. I never really saw my brother sad like this. And I'm like, Cook, what's wrong, man? He's like, oh, me and Tammy might break up. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to Tennessee. She might go to Miami. And I remember my parents having a talk with him, like, if she decides to go, you can't hold her back. He's like, I know. So basically, the whole her going to medical school thing was just like, she didn't have like a scholarship, or she just planned to go there. Like, that's it. Like, when I was a kid, I used to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger on Commando. I wanted to be a commando. I didn't go. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same kind of deal. So, and she like put so much weight on that, but it's like, nobody was twisting your arm at the time. They were seniors in high school who had just started dating. And then, like I said, I remember my brother being like sad about it, but he was like, he wasn't derailing his dreams for her. If she wanted to come, great. If she didn't, peace out. Like, that's it. Like, he had that one thing, and that's all he was doing. So that part kind of made me nuts when she put so much weight on that. And also, I just thought that her, to skip forward, I'm sure I'm missing a lot of things, but her like finishing statement or whatever she said was like such a narcissistic piece of shit. She's like, when I took the Hippocratic Oath when I was 16 to be a doctor, it was to do no harm. And, I think that I've entertained the world and I've helped them. I've helped terminally ill children through my work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I would be better suited to use my celebrity to go out there and educate people on the dangers of drinking and driving, because one little mistake can ruin your life. And then I remember the judge like cut a promo on her, and she's like, "This wasn't one little mistake. This was like your 9th DWI. What are you talking about?" So those are like the broad strokes of what I remember from the sentencing hearing. But yeah, there was a lot that I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is not true." Like, I was there, So,
did you want to talk about something in that Dark Side of the Ring episode that you wanted to clarify as well?
Oh, yes, about Puerto Rico. That made me crazy when she was like, "Oh, Puerto Rico was terrible. There was no running water. People would throw batteries at your head, throw piss on your head, do all this stuff." So I flew out to Puerto Rico to meet them. They went first, then I went out there to meet them. I heard the same stories. Batteries at your head, they'll dump pee on your head. But like, so in Puerto Rico, picture an indie show, right? And if someone were to pelt her in the head with some batteries, the entire locker room would clear and they'd go beat the shit out of whoever just did that. You know what I mean? Like, I never saw anything like that happen to her when I was there. And like one time I saw, I forget the fella's name now. Somebody threw water on one of the boys, and the fucking locker room cleared, went up there and beat the shit out of all the guys. You think if somebody threw piss on Tammy and hit her in the head with batteries, the locker room would not clear and just demolish whoever did that? And what also pissed me off was so when I first got there, we stayed at the Empress Hotel, which was in like Isla Verde, and then we stayed at this guy Bronco's house, and Bronco gave us his bedroom. Like, it was gonna be my brother and Tammy, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I have a brother who's like 6'1", 300 pounds, who's coming also," and we're all sleeping in Bronco's bedroom. He's sleeping on the couch. In the morning, his grandmother would make us breakfast, and that'd be like if I go to Ireland and you take me in for a couple of weeks, and then I go to your house, and then I come back home like, "Oh, Ireland fucking sucked. It was terrible." Like, that shit got me so mad, because it wasn't just that, because we stayed at other people's houses, and aside from that, like when we were kids, we'd go to Puerto Rico on vacation, And still, some of my best friends that I talk to, I go to Puerto Rico every year to visit friends. I still have some of my best friends in the world that are from Puerto Rico. And I just hated everything she said about that because it was bullshit. Like maybe up in the like in the middle of the island, the water pressure is not the best, but the running sewage, the this, the that, the people pelting on the head with batteries. Like, you really think that would happen? Like, you guys have been around wrestling. Would that ever happen without a locker room full of people running, security and the locker room running up to beat the shit out of whoever did that? Like, come on. Like that just made me so mad that she was saying that because it's such clearly bullshit. I mean, people who don't know the business or haven't been around it might buy it. But like I said, I heard the stories too. The people, fans here are crazy. They throw spark plugs, batteries. They dump pee on you. It's not true. I'm sure it's happened. You know what I mean? But not without the locker room clearing and a big brawl ensuing. So yeah, she's not just getting pelted in the head with batteries and nobody's doing it. I just didn't like how she said all those terrible things about Puerto Rico because like everybody there just like greeted us with open arms, let us into their house to stay as long as we wanted. Like I don't know, man. Sometimes she just likes to like rewrite history as it suits her, which has always just been, yeah. So I want to get that straight about Puerto Rico. Everybody there was great. It was everybody in the locker room kicked ass. The fans were freaking great, and that was it. Why would you try to make it something that it wasn't? I don't.
Apart from that segment, Johnny, what was your overall thoughts on the presentation of that episode about your brother?
So overall, overall I liked it. The message got across. The message that I wanted to get across was like my brother was the cleanest person in the world. All he cared about was wrestling, lifting, eating right, this, that. And it was only due to him breaking his neck that he ever even touched a pill or anything like that. And like, I just needed people to know that, yeah, he went through that rocky shit, because when you suddenly discover these drugs that help you at a later age, you're like, oh wow, and you've never experimented with anything before, you might go off the rails a little bit, and he did, but then he stopped, and he got clean, and he was fucking, back. It was literally overnight. Once, like me and him had that discussion. In the documentary, they kind of made it seem like we had that discussion in Puerto Rico, but we had it when he got back here about him when he was like saying, "Oh, the guys on the Indies nowadays." When I was 18, I was jacked. I was, going to Japan. I was going to Smoky Mountain. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's why you were standout. That's why you made it." I like that part got across. The only thing, if I'm going to be a little critical, some parts got edited in different ways, but it didn't really impact the story. Like when I said I couldn't watch my brother getting treated that way, that was a time. There was a long time that people didn't want to use Tammy, just wanted to use my brother, and I'd work on the undercard. So it'd be us together, and then Bam come with us, Balls would come with us, whatever. But sometimes she would want to come, insist upon coming, lock herself in my car. And yeah, I remember this one time in Boston, like we tried so hard to like dissuade her from coming, but she comes, she was a huge scene at the freaking building, and then back at the hotel, she's fighting us in the car, and back in the hotel room, she's punching, kicking, hitting my brother, and I couldn't take watching it anymore. I dragged him out into the hallway. I shut the door behind us. We fought for a little bit, got to a stalemate. I'm like, let's go. Get in the car and let's get out of here. Like, leave her here. Fuck this. So that's they made it seem like that happened sooner, but that really happened when I was like 20 and he was 30, 21, 31. But yeah, overall, I'm sorry I'm rambling, but overall, I like that the message got through, and I was very happy with it.
But before we leave that topic permanently, I wanted to ask you from the perspective of a fan that, really appreciates the body of work that your brother left behind and his skills and his talent. Does it ever seem to irk you that all the criminal behavior and misdeeds and et cetera, drama with Tammy, sometimes to those that aren't as well versed in your brother's work, it kind of overshadows it? And I know you're doing a tremendous job, which we'll talk about later on your Twitter, keeping his memory alive and highlighting all his great moments. But is it in some way a relief that she'll be away for a very long time and there can be some separation there?
Yes, of course. I mean, it kills me that the two of their names are like inevitably just linked, because they're such different people. Holy shit! Like, like I said, I don't know if you guys spent any significant time with my brother or hung out with him. Like, he was literally like the nicest, most affable, coolest person on the planet, and she was the absolute opposite. Like, literally, the only time me and him ever fought was over her. You know, was about her doing some wild shit, him having to stick up for her, and me saying, "What are you, fucking crazy?" Like, so it did. It made me freaking crazy. And oh yeah, what killed me too was like this whole downward spiral thing happened after Chris passed. That's such bullshit. Like, everybody who knows anything knew that she was a nightmare before. We just were really good at hiding it, because when if he'd be gone, if he'd be in Japan, he'd be like, "Dude, please watch Tammy, make sure she doesn't burn the house down." You know, so I would do that for her. But even then, she would just do some of the craziest things, you know. And yeah, it does make me mad. But I think, but you also have to, just with me too, like, he's 10 years older than me, so I thought he was like this. You idolize your older brother, obviously, so I thought he was this all-knowing older brother that had all the answers to everything. And it was a little later on when I started realizing, you know, I mean, he died when he was just 33. So, you know, I'm in my 40s. My little sisters are older than 33, and I still look at them like they're little, you know. So, but no, that stuff did make me crazy. And if I had been a little bit closer in age with him and not 10 years, I would have been able to have been like, yo, especially with the cheating stuff, because if I'd hear about this, like, let's say this is when I'm wrestling, they'd say, "Oh, dude, I heard Tammy got with Shawn Michaels behind your brother's back," and I'd be like, "Cook, people are telling me about Tammy and Shawn Michaels." He's like, "Dude," he's like, "Listen," he's like, "There's 300 guys in the locker room and one girl. Don't you think there's going to be some rumors?" Of course, there's going to be rumors. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. There must be rumors." So whatever was like apparent to everyone else, to me was just, of course, I just believe my brother. Like, why wouldn't I? You know. So, and I think maybe he needed that cognitive dissonance too, to just to be able to like function. You know what I mean? Because some people are like, "Oh, Chris must have been into it." Trust me, he wasn't into it. It drove him fucking nuts. You know. But yeah, sorry if I went on. I have strong feelings about that whole thing, how it was perceived, and then how it was. You know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, and I'm going to try to humor this a little bit, that I can't imagine that she's granted a make-a-wish to anyone and anyone's ever asked her to
Right.
make a wish. I just can't imagine that.
She's one of those people who, like, she'll just make shit up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's like, "Yeah, I was a fucking champion ballroom dancer and I bred Siamese cats." Like, she'll if she doesn't know, she'll just lie or just make up some type of fantastic, crazy story. Here's like a real one, for instance, right? Anytime Tammy drinks, she wants to drive and she wants to fight. Like, it's gonna be crazy. And I remember, so it shows you how nuts things were at the time. My one buddy, we're a very close knit community. So I have like a lot of friends and acquaintances. And my one friend, after the Dark Side of the Ring thing, he's like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "I always tell people the tornado story." I was like, "What the fuck's the tornado story?" He's like, "You don't remember the tornado story?" I'm like, all right, now I do. So here's the tornado story. We're hanging at my brother's house. Me and a couple of my buddies are on the porch hanging out. Tammy's gone, right? She's gone for a little bit. Everybody's like, where the hell is she? Or my brother is anyway. And she comes walking back. And we're like, where's the car? She's like, oh, it's down the street in the ditch because I was driving home in a tornado, picked the car up, flipped it through the air. It landed in the ditch, and it's right there down the street. Like, there was a tornado, really? And we walked out, and we're like, we've been on the porch the whole time. She's like, yeah, there was a tornado. And then me and my buddies walked down there, and of course, there was the car upside down with the hazards on. So we just called a bunch of my friends to come flip the car back over and, got it out of the ditch. But, yeah, man, there was, like some people say, like, oh, this person can't drink. Tammy can't drink. Like I made the mistake. My brother was in Japan. I was 20. It was around like 11:30 midnight. Me and my buddies ran out of beer. We're like, who can get to buy some beer? Tammy, of course. So I go pick her up. The only place that's open is a bar that sells packaged goods. I'm like, yo, Tammy, here's some loot. Go inside and get us 2 30 packs, whatever. So I'm waiting. She's not coming out. Waiting. She's not coming out. I'm like, fuck this. I'm going inside. So I go inside. She's at the bar. She's drinking. I'm like, Tammy, you get our beer already? She jumps away from me. There's a bunch of guys playing pool. She goes to the pool table and she slaps the balls all over the place. They go all over the ground. The guys playing pool were like, yo, we're gambling on this shit, you psycho. And they started, they're like, yo, bit. So now I start getting into it with these guys. I'm like, don't talk to her like that. So me and these guys are about to fight. Then my friend Sue, who happens to be there, trying to defeat things, goes, Tammy, I've been to your house. You have a lovely house. She goes, you've been to my house? Turns to me, bang, and starts attacking me. So I'm trying to carry her out as she's beating the shit out of me. And now here's the cold part, right? I'm driving with one hand. She's in the passenger seat. I'm blocking punches. We get back to the house. She sits down. I sit here. And she goes, I feel really bad about what happened before. Can I give you a hug? I go, yeah, you can give me a hug. I go to give her a hug. When you're giving somebody a hug, you don't really pay attention. She goes, palm striking right in the fucking nose. She goes, palm strike. Al Snow showed me that. I go, ugh. I ran over to a door and just, bah, 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 bah. I put like a million holes in it and ripped it in half and left the house. I was so pissed. But yeah, she can't drink. Anytime she drinks, it's mayhem. But yeah. I mean, I can laugh about it now, but it's not like, I'll tell you what. When she got arrested, like one of her last times, and she wrote, I'm out of jail, the Taminator's back. I'm like, now she's embracing this shit. I'm like, something bad's gonna happen. Like I thought it might be her crashing into a pole or a tree, but to hear that she like killed some poor guy, like it literally made me sick to my stomach. I was like, holy shit, like. So yeah, like that part obviously is so fucking terrible. And I think the judge gave her 17 years and then 8 months probation. But then I know she still has open cases in Jersey and Pennsylvania, so those don't just go away, right? I mean, those stay. So I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm happy. Long story long. Yeah, I'm happy she's behind bars and can't hurt anybody else or get drunk and crash into her.
Yeah.
It's